up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a chit chat get ready with me. I'm going to be using some new things. One of the new things that I'm going to be using is this Pure Pro palette by Etienne. I'm assuming he's a pro makeup artist. I had never heard of him before, but this palette is gorgeous. It has all these pretty colors in it. And yeah, we're going to create a look with these today. And then I'm also going to be using the new Becca face palette. Aprés. I don't know how to say that. I think it's a French word. It's the Ski Glow face palette. This is a part of their holiday collection and I just got it last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, so I've been waiting to test it out. So we will be using that today. So I'm going to start with moisturizing. I'm going to be using my Embrolysse moisturizer, which is the one that I always use. It is almost out. I need to get some more of this, but I am in dire need of extra moisture these days because it is definitely cold here in Oregon and winter is here. I've also started using my face oil when applying makeup recently too, because the other day I was testing out the Bare Minerals Pro foundation that just came out, or I think it's about to come out. I don't know. I got it sent to me from PR and I was using it and I was like, why is this so dry on my skin? And usually foundation sets on my skin nicely, even like more full coverage ones. Usually I don't reach for full coverage foundations because it's a lot of makeup and I don't like feeling like I have a bunch of makeup on. I like feeling like I just have a very lightweight foundation on because I know that I don't need a lot and I'm not in the business of like being full glam every day. So I like to have my foundations that are more, you know, for a full glam look, and then other ones that are for like an everyday type of use. So I was thinking that the Bare Minerals would be more of an everyday kind of foundation for me, but it was dry, and so I was using another foundation. I can't remember what it was, but it was also dry. So I was like, you know what? Maybe part of the reason I'm having issues is because I'm not moisturizing my face enough. So I hadn't really switched over my face routine to like my winter skincare yet. So I was like, okay, it's time. It's definitely time. All right, so I'm going to go in with the Fenty Beauty Primer, which I'm using this specifically because it is a more creamy moisturizing texture of a primer versus, you know, other primers that are more like silicone based or like have like that coating, that silicone coating that kind of match your face out. I'm not using that type of moisturizer because my skin has been dry. I'm going to start off with my eye look since I don't really know what we're doing yet. I'm going to do like a daytime look. That's my attempt. I always say I'm going to do one thing and then I end up creating something else. So I'm going to prime my eyes with some foundation. This is the Fenty Beauty foundation in 300, and this is actually it actually matches me now because I have the 300 and then I also have the 350 because I was kind of in between those two, but I think my tan is officially gone from the summer and stuff now, so I think 300 is my color completely. And then my forehead is always darker than the rest of my face. So 350 may still be good up in this area. I just have this weird crease right here that never wants makeup to stick to it. I swear, every time I do my eye makeup, I'm always going over this same little fold. Y'all, I was facing the wrong way, so I just flipped around and the lighting is better this way. So this week, you guys, my merch dropped. I'm actually wearing one of my cruise right now so you guys can see. And I'm so excited about sending them out. After I film this, I'm gonna go drop off the first set of orders. And make sure you guys, if you haven't seen the video, my announcement video, I tell you guys how the first 30 orders get a special gift from me. So we're almost at that cap. There's a few left of the special gift. So you guys should definitely go ahead and order ASAP. And I hope you guys enjoy them. I worked really hard on it. Honestly, this wouldn't have happened without Mark, okay? Definitely know that Mark put in a lot of work to help me get this whole merch thing together, and I could not have done it without him, like for real, for real. I learned a lot about myself through this process of getting this merch done, and you know, it was a challenge at times for me to let go of parts of control of myself and my brand, because I had him so involved in the merch process. And, you know, obviously he had his ideas, I had my ideas, and I'm not used to having to share creative control when it comes to things that I do. And so that was hard at times, I'm not gonna lie. That was definitely hard. But we got through it, and it turned out great. So he's already talking about like the next line and what we want to put out next and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, wait a second. Let me breathe first. And then we can talk about the next set of merch or whatever. But yeah, so I'm really proud of myself that we actually like got it done, because there were moments where I was like, forget it. It's over. It's done. It's not happening. I'm so over dramatic, you guys. Like, especially when it comes to me and like my art and my work. I'm sensitive about it. So I was very sensitive throughout this process, but we got it done. So recently, and for the past, like, I would say a good few months, I've been getting a lot of people emailing me and DMing me asking for relationship advice. And it was kind of weird that not only was it specifically relationship advice, but it was like all about how to know when to let somebody go. And I guess because I have been in multiple relationships and I'm in such a great relationship now, plus being public about my last relationship with you guys, if you have been around for a while, I guess you guys think that I have advice to give. And I do, honestly, I do. And that's because I've been through a lot of different relationship types and different relationship situations. So for those of you that don't know, I had a high school sweetheart for about 7 years, on and off. We basically dated in high school, dated through college. Here and there we had our issues in college. I had situationships in college. He had his infidelities in college, which I feel weird saying infidelity when it comes to like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, because infidelity is like marriage. But he cheated on me, and other things happened. So it was like different time periods where we weren't together. And then when we graduated, he ended up going and playing for the NFL, and I ended up moving with him, which ended up not really being the best situation, but everything happens for a reason. So that happened, and then I moved back home about 3 months later, kind of in the what am I doing with my life kind of phase. And it took me a while to get over that breakup. Basically, he told me he wasn't in love with me anymore. And that whole process of letting somebody go when they cannot tell you any other way that they don't want you besides that they don't love you anymore. Like, I think that was the thing that got me, was that we had been together and we had been in love with each other for so long. And he was like, I'm not in love with you anymore. And I think he knew, knowing me, that like I had to hear those words in order to really understand that like he didn't want to be with me anymore. So that was a really tough time in my life. And I talk about it a bit in my Young, Broke, and Heartbroken video. I talk about that a bit. And so yeah, so I got through that. If you want to know more, I'll like link that video here. But then I dated around, didn't get into a serious relationship until about 2.5, almost 3 years later. And that was a relationship that lasted about a year, almost a year. We didn't quite make a year. It was like 10 months or something like that, or maybe 11 months or something. And with that relationship, I ended things because by that point, I had really learned how to recognize when I was just not in it anymore. And through those 2.5, almost 3 years, my ex that I had been with for such a long time was like not really involved in, like not really in my life, but like would randomly pop up, or like I would reach out to him, which then started kind of like that back and forth thing, which isn't healthy, but sometimes you have to go through it to really understand, like to teach yourself to not want to go through it again. So because I had gone through the back and forth and all the heartbreak with that 7-year relationship, I knew when I was breaking up with my last boyfriend that I was out of it. Like the mind kind of like the thinking processes that I was going through, I was like, okay, this is the beginning of the end. Like this is what you do when you want to let go of somebody. This is what you think whenever you're not into him anymore. And so I broke that relationship off pretty swiftly. And he probably thinks that it was like super abrupt and super like out of nowhere, but at the same time, I think if he thought about it, he would be able to see that it was really that's where it was leading. Subtly, we didn't have any like cheating or anything like that. It was just a recognition of like, you're a great person, I'm a great person, but I don't think we're great together. And I could feel that the way my life was going, he was not fitting into it. He wasn't meshing well with it. So I was like, okay, I gotta go. I have, so yeah, and then being with Mark this time and like being in a happy relationship and feeling like I chose someone for me versus choosing somebody that I think I should be with. Because those are two, they can be the same thing, but they can be two very different things based on like how you grow up and what you see is the ideal relationship could not be the relationship that's actually ideal for you. And I think that was my last relationship before Mark, was that the guy that I was with, he was really fashion forward, he was educated, and he was very into his faith and being a Christian. And, in that relationship, I got into a really great habit of being in church every week, and I got rebaptized while I was in that relationship. So I got a lot from that relationship, but even through all of that, I still knew that he wasn't the man that I was supposed to marry. And at the end of the day, that is where I was in my life, being at the time I was 25 or 24, I think 25. And I was just like, okay, I'm 25. I'm grown. I've been through long relationships. I've been through, situationships and, had my heart broken multiple times. But then I also have like these feelings of like, what if I would have pursued this person, or what if I wouldn't have pursued this person at this time? I had enough of all of that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of trying to live my life / specifically at this time, my love life, the way that I think is supposed to be versus what God like naturally is pushing me towards. And so when I started thinking on that level, I started recognizing little things about my ex that did not work for me, like on a fundamental level. And nothing that was bad, like none of him and who he is bad, but it was like, okay, there are certain like cultural ways and things that I like to do, or just interests and desires that I have that he didn't have. And I had to think to myself, I'm like, okay, if we don't celebrate the same way, like celebrate life the same way, then that's an issue. If we don't see family obligations and scenarios as important or at the same level of priority, then that's a problem. Like, I come from a very big family. We do holidays very big, and not everybody's like that, you know? Not everybody is going to go all out every holiday and stuff, but like, those are moments that I really, really cherish with my family and friends. And so he wasn't really like that. For as an example, he wasn't really that way. And so I started recognizing that, and you know, when I recognized that, I started realizing, oh wow, like the reason why I don't feel comfortable at times in certain situations is because my fundamental interest or what I gravitate towards is not that. So no wonder I'm not necessarily meshing with certain things in his life, because those things aren't meant for me and they don't naturally go with the person that I am. And so that's just what it was. And so I started recognizing those things. But anyway, I'm going to go back in with the Fenty 300 foundation all over my face. So the DMs and emails and stuff that I've been getting have been a lot of like young girls being like, you know, I've been with my boyfriend for such and such amount of time and he's pulling away from me. And it's crazy how many emails and DMs I get of that, of like girls feeling like they're men, or saying we broke up because he wanted to take a break and like grow, or not grow. Of course, dudes never say I need a break to grow. Well, sometimes they do. Those are like, okay, the guys that are super nice but still do F-boy stuff, they're still F-boys. Just remember that. F-boys can be nice. F-boys can tell you what you want to hear, but they're still F-boys in their behavior. So don't get twisted by that and don't get caught up like that. But anyway, so the girl's like, you know, I don't know what to do because I feel like, you know, maybe he just doesn't realize what he has or wants something different because we're young. And how do you let go, or how do you know, do you wait for somebody? You know, do you wait? Okay, so let's talk about that. When are the times that you should be the ride or die person and wait for them to get their lives together or whatever? In my opinion, your heart has to be in it. If your intuition, if your heart tells you to stay, then stay. But understand the consequences of you staying. I think that's the part that people need to like think through when they're making those decisions. So everything comes with like cause and effect, right? And like consequence. So if you want to stay with him or her during their, you know, their debacles and whatever situations that they've got going on that are like not ideal, then you have to recognize that, okay, I'm signing up for this. Like, I'm signing up for whatever drama, whatever consequence this comes with. And a lot of times what happens is we sign up for the rosy, beautiful ending, right? Like, oh, I'm signing up for the day when he does get his life together and he's successful, and I'm going to be the one that's there saying, hey, I've been here from the beginning and I've supported you through all this. Share your success with me. We sign up for that part. We don't sign up for the part where, or the chance that he could make his success happen. She could make her success happen. She could, you know, get that job or get through school or finally stop cheating or whatever. Decide to be, you know, a committed partner. And they still don't want to be with you. We don't sign up for that part. But a lot of times that part happens because there's just enough chance that they get it together and stay with you, that they get it together and they not stay with you. I'm just adding 350 on my forehead, like I said, which I think works for me. I just love this freaking foundation. Oh, okay, so a lot of people say that this foundation is drying. really moisturizing your face before you apply this makes it so much easier to work with and lays it so nicely on your skin. Like, this looks so good. You got to mentally prepare yourself that, hey, there's a chance that all the great things can happen for this person, all their potential could come true, and they still don't want to be with you. And that is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the chance that you take. I'm going in with Hourglass foundation for my highlight. This is in light beige. There's still a chance that after all it's said and done, they still don't want to be with you. And if somebody is pulling away from you already, listen to your gut. You have to take off like the wool or the covering or the mask that you're so infatuated and so involved with a person that you start ignoring like their signs that they're pulling away from you. And that was my issue when I was, you know, getting over the breakup from my 7-year relationship, was that like I literally I would seriously ignore all the signs that he did not want to be with me anymore. Like, I ignored every sign, you know what I'm saying? Like, even me moving with him after college, he didn't ask me to move with him. I pushed it onto him in a way that, like, back then I didn't feel like it was forced. But looking back at it now, it was. Like, he didn't come out and say, I want you to move with me. I want you to be a part of my life. Like, no, it was, I guilt tripped him into it. I guilt tripped him into saying, well, why don't you come and stay with me, get things together, blah, blah, blah. Because I was in a rough place in my life where I, you know, had planned to go to grad school. It fell through. And that fall, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with my life. I graduated in August and I had no plan for anything because my plan was to go to grad school, but then that didn't happen. I did not have a plan B. So I forced my plan B to go with him. And that didn't work. And I kind of brought that experience onto myself of like everything that happened after. But at the same time, like, I know that you just have to go through those things sometimes to like get it, which is why I get it now. It took me a while to understand why everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out, but yeah, it's definitely tough at that time though. I'm using, like always, this Cool Earth from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Yeah, so I had to recognize that like I had a part in it too. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of, really all the emails that I get never talk about like what the person sending me the message might have done to have whatever situation's happening to happen. And I think a lot of times we don't see our part in the ending of a relationship when we get broken up with. And hey, sometimes it is all them. Sometimes it's all that person and they're just crazy and don't recognize how awesome you are. But at the same time, if you were meant for them, they'd recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Like, love isn't supposed to be hard in that way. When it comes to the fundamental basis of your relationship, relationships are hard. They are work. You have to be committed, and it is not easy to be committed at all times. But to love somebody, if you love somebody, that's the part that's supposed to be easy. Because when all else fails, when all else is like jacked up, when you're struggling, you're supposed to have that love to lean on. Because if you don't have that love for a person, then why the hell are you going to stay with them when shit gets hard? I mean, let's just be real. That's what it comes down to. And I think we got to start recognizing that we're worth more. You're worth somebody just being madly in love with you. And that person is not always going to be the person you think you're supposed to be with. Like, it's just not. If I was with the person that I thought I was supposed to be with, you know, for 7 years or my whole life, I would not be who I even am today. You know what I'm saying? Like, every situation that I've gone through has shaped me as a person. And so while, yes, there's been a lot of like painful situations, that if I would have just listened to my gut, or if I would have just like stopped obsessing, it would have been less painful. You have to know when to like remove yourself. And some of the best advice I ever got, I think I've told you guys this before, I might have said it in that video, that that young broken heartbroken, my foundation just falling. So when I was going through that big breakup, I was talking to my dad about it, and he was just like, you know what, you have to keep things out of sight and out of mind. And in this day and age, out of sight and out of mind is a very hard thing to do, because you can literally watch somebody's life happen without even talking to them through social media. And so it's easy to obsess. It's easy to, you know, check their page all the time and just be over involved with somebody that clearly doesn't want to be with you, or just needs a break from you. Everything has balance. So sometimes you may not need to completely cut that person off for the rest of your life, but do you guys need to take a break to kind of like step back and recognize who you are and recognize who they are and then come back together? Yes, but you still have to create that sense of space. And that sense of space meaning that person is not in your life physically and like mentally. You have to get that person out of your mind, and you have to do whatever you got to do that. Now, I'm not telling you to go date every other guy and to be able to realize what you have or whatever, but sometimes you have to experience other people to be able to recognize what you have already or what you want. That's the biggest blessing, I think, in all of the heartbreak and the different situations that God put me through relationship wise. What it really showed me what I wanted out of a person, and it's really forced me to create the criteria for the man that I wanted to be in a relationship with on my own, and not what other people wanted. So a lot of my wants in a person were based off of what my friends wanted from a man, or what my family or people I looked up to wanted out of a partner. And I had never really thought about what I truly wanted out of a person on my own without any sort of outside influence. And if you don't know what that is right now, then one, I would say you should probably take a break and have some time to yourself. I wish I would have taken that advice, because I didn't. I literally went from relationship to dating a bunch of guys, not necessarily in a sexual way, but talking. I was talking to a lot of people all the time. I never really took a break. And that was just me being stubborn. That's just me. But if I would have been smart about it, I would have taken that break from guys completely. But one thing that I did do that I think was really, really beneficial to me was I sat down and created a list. And I wrote down every single little thing I wanted out of a guy, and down to the most superficial things to the most deep and intellectual things. I wrote it down. And 2.5 years later, God gave him to me. His name is Mark. And Mark literally hits everything on that list. And I think I talked about this list in that Heartbroken video too. But it was just insane. And so I'm going to set with, sorry, this is random. I'm going to set with this Pink Haze Soft Blurring Powder from Becca. If you're looking for somebody in life and you're just like really at a point where you're just like, what the heck? Why is every relationship that I enter not working out? Why is, this not working out? And honestly, you could take this into anything in life. Because y'all hear him? He's crying over there. Anything you want in life. Stop crying, boy. I'm trying to film. I don't know if he's been crying this whole time, if you guys can hear him. But stop it. Now he's going to keep crying because I talked to him. And he knows that I acknowledged him. But anything you want in life, write it down. Put it in writing. Make it real. Make it tangible. Like I have in my phone notes on notes on notes of like just thoughts that I have had or things that I've wanted in life and that I want to achieve in my life. And like anything you want in your life, You have to just write it down and let it manifest itself. And that by far is like the most tangible way that I know to make your dreams realities. And you gotta get out of your head. I think I even do that a lot too. I will have an idea or something that I want, and it will just like stay in my head for days and days until I forget about it, or I just obsess about it so much, and then I'm just like overwhelmed before even doing anything, and it's like a lost cause. So I guess my advice to those of you out there who are, you know, trying to figure out what to do next with a relationship, write out the pros and cons. That's another thing I did. I wrote out the pros and cons of my relationship, of the 7-year one. That was the hardest breakup I ever went through. I wrote out the pros and cons of that relationship, and there were way more cons than pros. We knew that, but I kept that list. I wrote it in my computer, and I kept that list. And every time I felt like I wanted to text him or call him, or I would start like going down memory lane and like wishing things were the way they were and stuff like that, I would read that list, and it would remind me why walking away was the right thing to do, / why he walked away from me. And even saying that someone walked away from me, that is hard. That is like the hardest thing ever. And I still got trust issues from that, to be honest. But, you know, I'm working through them. Write down the pros and cons, you know, like really look at your life and look at who you are and the person you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like the person that you're with should mirror qualities that you are striving for. So for instance, with Mark, he's really, really good at being very compassionate, very thoughtful. He's one of the most thoughtful people I know. He thinks of others seriously before himself so much. And I admire that about him. And I hope to have more of that because I'm learning it from him. You know what I'm saying? And so he's helping me become a better me because of who he already is, right? And I think when you're like 21, 22, which is when I was like, you know, I was in deep relationships at that time of my life, you ain't who you supposed to be yet. I mean, you are who you're supposed to be at that time, but you're not who you really are yet because you're still discovering different aspects of you. And you're shedding a lot of those kind of values and beliefs from your parents, from school, from your environment, and finally coming into your own. And I think that was what I needed to do overall in order to be in a good and happy, loving relationship now, was that I had to stop trying to find people that I thought were good, that I thought were going to be perfect for me. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, what's your type? And I never really knew what my type was because I just was I got in my first relationship when I was 16 with the 7 years, when I was 16. So my preferences and my desires and interests were drastically different than they are now at 26. Drastically different. And it's crazy because my sister has been with her fiance, which they just had a baby. You guys know this. She's been with him since she was 17, since we were 17. Like we all grew up together. And the beautiful thing about their relationship is that they really did grow together. Like they grew up, they went through their, you know, they went through their things that shaped their relationship and ups and downs and stuff, but they stuck through it and they were able to really push through all of that and still maintain the relationship. That isn't the case for everybody. Me being one of those people. It was crazy because growing up, I always thought that, you know, my relationship would be the one that lasted, you know. My relationship would be the one that really made it. And it didn't. And I'm glad that it didn't. Which is crazy because for so long, I wanted that relationship to work. But I'm glad it didn't, because if it hadn't, I wouldn't have learned so much about myself. I would not have experienced the people that I experienced through different relationships and different experiences. different relationships and different situations and stuff, I appreciate the fact that God knew that I needed to see for myself. And so if you're in one of those weird places with somebody, just be real with yourself. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache and just overall anxiety by just being real with yourself and being like, okay, do I like this person? You can love somebody, right? You can love somebody because of the history of, you know, the fact that they were there for you at a specific time in your life. But do you like them? Do you like doing things with them? Do you guys have common interests? Do you guys have little things that you do that are super special and just for you two that you truly enjoy? If you don't, then you need to reevaluate why you're with that person. All right, so we are done with bronzing and contouring and everything. I'm going to spray my face. This look is coming together really nicely. See, I was trying not to do something that was like felt nighttimey, because anytime I like get into a new palette, I kind of like go crazy a little bit and my look always ends up being like too much, but this actually came out really, really pretty. I'm gonna do for lip, oh y'all, I didn't even do my brows, but I did just get them done the other day, so they're really not, I don't really need to do anything to them, honestly, and I probably won't. I'll probably just leave them the way that they are, because I like how like it's like a soft brow versus like a really harsh brow, which is what I usually have. I usually have a pretty thick and intense brow. Okay, so we're just gonna leave the brows. Well, let me get this little, y'all see this little bald spot right here? Let me get that. Just do this maybe. See how I said I'm not gonna do my brows, and here I am penciling in my brows. Also, can we talk about how Shea Moisture is no longer canceled with this new Shea Moisture Men ad? Y'all, okay, if you guys have not seen it yet, you need to check it out. And I'm just thinking to myself, dang, they really knew how to win our hearts back. They really did. But I have worked with Shea Moisture before. They're a really great team, honestly. I know they had their little issue earlier or a couple months ago, whatever, but the product speaks for itself, honestly. And you guys know Shea Moisture has been a staple for almost every natural hair girl, curly girl since forever, since this whole kind of movement, new way of life, hair life started years ago. They were, you know, on the market when a lot of other brands weren't yet. So you gotta give them props. They're Shea Moisture. They're kind of like OGs in the game. All right, so now I'm gonna do my highlight, blush and highlight. I almost finished this look with my lip, but I forgot we gotta add some blush and some highlight with this palette from Becca. So I am going to use, ooh, this one is like a coral. I like this. This one is Rose Quartz. I think I have Rose Quartz too. These colors in this palette are the same as other palettes or other products they already have. They definitely already have Opal. I want to say they have the Rose Quartz, this one right here. I want to say they have that one already. So I'm not really sure which part of this palette is new for this palette specifically. I'm not sure. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I think the blushed copper is what I'm talking about. I think this is blushed copper. It's a blush. That's what I want to use. Okay, so I'm going to use that for blush. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, that's pretty. It's like really subtle. It'll be perfect for the lip we're doing. Oh, that's pretty. See, that's without it. That's with it. That's pretty. All right, let's do the other side. Oh, that's gorge. Ooh, Let's do some highlight on top. I just love Opal. It's one of my favorite highlighters out. See, look at it. It's so easy to work with and it pops. I need to get the full size of this Better Than Sex mascara. I need to just stop playing with myself and just buy some. I'll buy everything else, but I don't know what it is. I hate buying mascara. Like, I bought this travel size little Better Than Sex mascara and I could have easily bought the full size, but I don't know what it is. I just do not like buying mascara. I don't know what it is. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with this pure eyeliner. It's the On Point eyeliner. It's the black one. I think it's called... I'm assuming it's called black. Love these lashes. I really need to figure out what they are for y'all. Yeah, if you guys don't get anything else from Becca, which I love all their stuff, even their foundations, the concealers, beyond just like all the highlighters, because the highlighters are popping. Opal. You need Opal. Opal and Champagne Pop, honestly. We are going to do Plum in MAC Lip Liner, Morange in the MAC Amplified Lipstick. This is a bomb and poppin' orange. I love, 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 love orange lip colors. I don't know what it is. I've just always really gravitated toward orange and like corals and stuff, but this one is so my favorite. My other favorite is definitely Lady Danger from MAC too. Alright y'all, so now that we are done with makeup, let's go ahead and take my hair down.